Hey guys, James here with Modal Electronics. Welcome to Quick Dive. In this episode, we will go through real-time recording on the sequencer. So that is a mode that probably is not often used by many of you. I know I use the step sequencer in step-based mode most of the time. Well, real-time kind of throws away some of the luxuries of step mode. So there's no editing notes afterwards, and you have to play in time. You can't take your time in between each one and kind of premeditate the steps. You have to play in time to a click track, just like you'd be recording to Ableton Live. So you might be wondering, well, why would I ever want to do that when, step mode is way easier? Well, one scenario, and that is chord progressions with long-held notes. That and the time factor. There's a little bit less tinkering after the fact if you can just nail a solid take in real-time mode, because the notes are quantizable, so little timing errors aren't going to matter. And I just wanted to show you guys some settings to make sure you're all set up for success in case you haven't done sequencing. And we'll have some fun. I'll do an example, and we'll go, along the way, I'll show you things that will help you avoid pulling your hair out trying to get that perfect take. So let's dive in. So first thing I'm going to want to do, I'm going to use the synthesizer menu first, and then I'll show you in the Modal app. I'm going to go to General Settings, just check the clock source, and make sure it's set to Auto or Internal. Next over, you're going to see a Sequence General Settings menu. This stuff usually doesn't matter. If you're in a DAW, just a heads up, if this is turned on, that means the sequencer will kick on in whatever sequence it's in every time you press play. And for example, if you press play in Ableton, that'll kick on. And then this is the quantized factor. So if you need it quantized to eighth notes, if you're doing a real basic chord progression that's not going to deviate from eighth notes, then you could select that, because that's definitely going to help you with timing. 16th notes, as long as you're somewhat precise, it'll still quantize things pretty well. So I usually leave it to 16th notes. All right, next I'm going to hold Shift and press Patch. This brings me to a sequence menu of presets, much like the patch presets. If you just hit patch once, it goes right back to the patch presets. If you hold Shift Patch, it goes to the sequence patches, right, or the sequence preset list. And this is separate from patches. There is a Modal Minute explaining how to link them. It's very simple. But just a heads up, if you didn't know already, make sure any work you do with a sequence, you save. If you hit the save on the patch, but don't save the sequence, you're going to lose everything you just worked on. If you want to override one, that's okay, but I'm going to go through the motions anyways in case you're overriding one. You can click this button once, go down to the lower menu, and then click Initialize Sequence. And then when it gives you that prompt, you're going to select Real-Time. Next, I'm going to click this again, and I'm going to scroll over to the right to the Sequence menu, and I'm going to navigate to Length. Let's just do something simple. 4 bars ought to do it. All right, so we should be fairly set up for success to record something. Now, the first bit of advice I can give is do at least some kind of rough rehearsal of what you're going to play. I honestly I didn't have anything planned, so I'm going to kind of ad-lib it here, or, wing it. Okay, so when I hit record, it's instantly going to start clicking. Let's just count 4 measures here and then record our sequence. So the lesson right here is always save the good take. And then if you want to add more after the fact. I'm going to hit save, and then I'll add something on top of that. That way, if I make an error, you can always just reload the sequence and then try again. If we save the sequence, we can name it something other than, well, we're going to save it in spot 37. I'll click that, and I'll just call this A, and I'll confirm. So now, if I want to add a layer, I can do so, and I won't have to worry about having to do that whole recording process over again. So that's the big takeaway with this one, is just make sure that you record something simple and something doable first, and then build on that. So if you have a left and a right part, best idea is to record one at a time. And all you have to do is just, stop, check your loop to see if it's still good, and then you add on top of that. Let's hear it from here. Ready? 2, 3, I'm going to punch in 4. going to punch out. All that animation, all that movement I saved, it's going to go in autopilot now. Let's go to the app for a second. One thing you're going to notice is you cannot edit notes, just as I pointed out earlier. You can, however, edit animation, which is very handy. So if you want to just do something a bit more legato and you didn't like what you recorded, you can do something like that, right? Or you can just change the parameters altogether. You could assign something like LFO2 and clock it at maybe 16th notes and have it retrigger. So let's go back to the sequencer, and anytime I boost this up now, we're going to hear those 16th notes. Watch what happens when I bring the animation for LFO2 depth all the way to the bottom. It's not just going back to center, it's actually going completely in the other direction. So this is the full range. Keep that in mind. So right around here is going to be at LFO neutral, or LFO 0 depth, right at 64. That's why we don't hear anything. And eventually you can edit patches as your sequence plays and kind of suit them perfectly to how you want it. Sometimes when you play a sequence, it inspires you into wanting to change the sound that you're using, and you end up with an entirely new preset, which is exactly what I did here. Well, I hope this tutorial helped you. It was a quick dive, and yeah, there's a lot of use for this. It might be a little bit more tricky, so just keep that in mind when you're going into it, and don't pull your hair out trying to get the perfect take. Just go, one hand at a time, even one note at a time if need be. Remember, you can just keep adding and adding. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed. We'll see you on the next quick dive. Bye-bye.